Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of We Wonder. So today, I was thinking back to all the conversations I've had talking to folks about, We Insure over the last year. And I kept thinking, one thing, a lot of people are surprised when I tell them kind of the story about, We Insure. So I started thinking to myself, what if? That's usually what a lot of them started coming into is, what if there was a business model that really allowed you to focus on just growing your business, sales specific, that it had carrier access, that had everything in place that made it turnkey, including the highest tier commissions, all the service done like out of Jacksonville, so you don't have to worry about it, and had everybody in place to help you really striving, when we say working for you, really working for you to make you as successful as humanly possible. What if that existed, right? So that's kind of the reaction I get when I talk to people about insurance. They're like, insurance is tough, and you have to do a lot of transactions, and we tried it before, and then there's expense associated with it, and all those people I have to hire, really slims out the margins. Instead, we started thinking, well, is it possible, right? So when we come talking about, any kind of business, you have to have several items in place, right? You have to have a product to sell, someone to sell it to, and then the ability to market that to everybody you want as prospects, right? So you have to have those three things in place. And so through my due diligence before coming here and through conversations I've had with, all of our existing and wonderful franchise owners, I found that not only did we check all those boxes, but we go that much further. So the question came up after that is it possible, right? Is it possible to build an insurance book of business, is what we call it, a book of business that grew very, very rapidly using all of those features, services, and offering with We Insure? Is it possible to get to a $10 million book in a very short time, in a 5-year period? Well, the answer to that question is, of course, yes. And the gentleman who's done that right now is our top producing office. It's called the 2J's office, the We Insure 2J's. And lucky for us, we have both J's right here. We both have them on the call. Lucky because, we have Jay Wolfberg, who's with us, and he is joining us from the office, from the main office they have in Delray. And then we also have Jay Lerner, who is on vacation, but always working, this guy. He's always working, and he said, I will absolutely be there. So I appreciate you taking the time out of your vacation schedule for the next half hour, 45 minutes. So we went through the what if, right? We went through, is it possible? And the answer is, of course, yes. So can you guys just kind of introduce yourselves and talk a little bit, and you can go back and forth, a little bit about kind of your experience coming through to why you decided We Insure was the way to go, and you guys work together. So tell me a little bit about that. Let's start with Jay Lerner, since he's got on vacation, and then we'll jump up.
Thanks for the introduction, Chris. My background is not insurance related. I come from a sales background, although zero experience when it comes to insurance sales. So when I went to look, because I knew this was the business for me, insurance is a no-brainer with the annual increases that you're giving yourself. Really, there was no other type of industry that I wanted to be involved with. So when I started my search, I really didn't know if I was going to open up Jay Lerner Agency or if I was going to work for a different franchise other than We Insure. But after my due diligence, it became very apparent that there was just no other franchise model that suited me in particular other than We Insure. And I searched every nook and cranny. I explored, like I said, the concept of just opening Jay Lerner Agency, and without the carrier access, it's almost impossible to survive in this industry. And We Insure allowed me not only to have obviously the carrier access, but they have the service center in Jacksonville, which is paramount. And without both of those things on the table, without the carrier access and without the support from Jacksonville, there's no way, no way at all that we would remotely be close to a $10 million book in a 5-6 year period without both of those tools. Of course, it took a lot of hard work from Jay Wolfberg and myself to utilize both of those things to put us in the position that we are right now. But there's nothing else. There's nothing out there that's remotely close to We Insure.
So you've even looked at, it wasn't just the franchise models. You looked at, the captive agencies like the State Farms, the Allstates. You looked across the industry, not only doing that, but also looking as an independent, and realized, a couple of things. I remember the conversation you had with me. You looked at a few people that you've been working with for years and realized that's not the level that I'm looking for. I'm looking to go much higher.
Yeah, absolutely. The whole concept of We Insure with their Jacksonville service center, it allows you to sell and them do the service. So the amount of time that it would take a different office or a different independent model or what have you to reach the plateau that Jay Wolfberg and myself did, or the tier that we reached, would be probably double or triple the amount of time, if it's even possible at all.
Well, I know that, and I'll jump in with Jay Wolfberg here in a second. I know that, statistics show us that between 65 and 70% of an independent agent's time is spent on service, right? Servicing the clients. So the first 3 years, they get into that sales mode, they build up the book to a certain point, and then they plateau. And so that's what you probably experienced during that due diligence as well. You'll see a lot of agents that are kind of at a certain level, but they can never quite get over that hump because the financial commitment to hire as many people and support people necessary to get there is pretty daunting. And so in this model, you guys have leveraged it, exactly the way you'd expect to do it, and taken it to the next level. And then you built systems around that, of course. So we'll talk about that in a second. But you really took that to the next level. So
thanks, Chris. I believe one of the main things in being successful with an insurance agency is exactly what you just said. It's an agency has a certain goal to reach, but they find it almost impossible to get beyond that particular number, whatever that number may be. And the reason being is the retention within an insurance agency, I would say on average might be 80%. Jay Wolfberg and myself have been able to keep, approximately 88 to 90%. And we attribute that really for the Jacksonville Service Center. If it wasn't them continuously reminding our insureds about the renewals and with, whatever their methods may be, whether it's sending texts and making phone calls to them, where it allows Jay Wolfberg and myself to continue to sell. While that's one part of the business that we really don't have to think about, it enables us to reach much, much higher levels in comparison.
Fair enough. So Jay Wolfberg, so you mentioned to me before, some of the, one of the things that a lot of people don't think about is, the amount. I mean, obviously we have quite a few carriers, right? We have 150 carriers in the state of Florida. In other states, we have quite a few carriers, but not quite as many as Florida, with all the, expected weather that you get, all the different things that occur in Florida. So you have to carry more carriers. But one of the things you mentioned is, man, do you really want to be the guy having to go through and reconcile at the end of the month across 30, 40, or 50 carriers, or the amount of mail, just literal pieces of mail that come in that you would have to look through that's all handled by somebody else? Is that true?
Yeah. So good. Yeah. Thank you, Chris. So when to go back to the beginning where we're doing our due diligence to figure out what fits best, I'd probably divide, our opinions into two things. So one is the stuff we want to do, and are we getting the tools and resources necessary to do that? So we want to sell insurance to our customers directly. We want to be able to quote and be the most competitive. And those are all the tools and resources that We Insure gives. The opposite side of that is all the stuff we don't want to do that prevents us from selling insurance. So the accounting is an excellent example, and I would just leave it as, if we have access to 100 companies and we write one policy a month with each company, that means I have 100 commission statements that come in the mail or that electronically come over, and I have to manually reconcile each one to see, if we've been paid properly, et cetera, et cetera. And that's something, that We Insure takes care of. The other end of it is, especially in today's climate with the amount of refinances, we get calls all the time for, mortgage companies are changing, and those calls often come from overseas, and they take, it's like a 20-minute process to deal with, and, thousands and thousands of times of that. So there's so many services that are provided that we just simply have no interest in doing, and they also prevent us from doing the things that make us money. So we try to focus, and what this model allows us to do is to really only focus on things that generate revenue. Obviously, the main goal.
And again, that's the very singular point of why We Insure was created. Phil Vassalli, who started it, was with a captive before with Allstate, loved Allstate, but didn't like all the restrictions and the limited amount of, he would quote 10 people, only buying 2 of them, refer most of it out to other independent agencies so they could get those in. And then, of course, there was all the other stuff, as you mentioned, that nobody wants to do, that somebody has to do, and you have to pay that person to do one way or the other. So that's why We Insure was created, and the whole model exists. And obviously, you guys have not only taken that, but you've taken it to, a new level, right? You've taken it to that new level. You figured out what you could do with it. I'm going to ask you 2 questions about the favorite part about being with We, which you've mentioned some of it. And then, you talked a little bit about goals. As you're approaching that $10 million bookmark, do you have a goal in mind? What's the next level? Is it 20? Is it 15? Is it, what do you guys think? Or is it just, we're taking as we go?
You know what, Chris? We always had realistic goals. Our initial goal when we first started this was we wanted to do $1 million in our first year. We surpassed that and did $2 million in our first year. From there, our goals, we realized that this is possible. So our next goal was 5 million, and we hit the 5 million mark. From there, we said we're going to hit 10 million, and here we are at 10 million. So I would say, our goal right now is to keep doing what we're doing, keep doing it well, and good things are going to happen. But yes, we would like to hit that $20 million mark, and then we'll set something new. So I would say that's what we have in our sights.
Got it. That's great. No, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, you guys have accelerated some of those goals so quickly that you don't have to reset and then keep growing. You could almost double up in a period of time, coming up in the near future. So it's happening more rapidly as you guys grow so quickly. And it's not just 2 of you, though, is it? It's you've actually hired some producers. There's other people on your team there at your office. So you have an actual storefront location, and you have people in your office. People come in to the office. So how many people do you have, and what was the thought process about adding other producers?
So I can answer that one. So we are in a storefront location that's relatively newer for us the last couple of years. Based on the demographics here, that makes sense for us. And our idea with hiring producers is once me and Jay were comfortable with the systems and we had built the processes, it was time to replicate ourselves and bring people in. So we've got, one awesome superstar producer, another one that is brand new, and another one, a third one as well that's coming in. So it's not, we don't write these numbers with 20 producers in here. But the nice thing, and I think what me and Jay are very proud of, is we built these systems that essentially enable us just to drop people in. So, we've built all these behind the scenes systems on lead generation, on how they're handling their customers. And if one person leaves, or if we want to add another person in, based on all of these systems and processes we've designed on this end, we're very easily able to scale ourselves and grow. And we're really only limited and not even so much anymore, but by physical space. So nowadays you can work from anywhere, which is amazing as well. So there's a lot of upside on that. And I think to hit your other point about our next goal at 20 million, the same thing with the process is we grow like clockwork. We know what we're writing every month. We know what's coming in, and we could, probably project like we did with the 10 million almost to the month on when we're going to, hit those numbers. And as we try to exceed that and bring more people in and get there faster, that's an amazing thing as well.
Well, I have to admit, when I first started working here, the first thing everyone says is you got to meet the 2Js. You got to meet the 2Js. Make sure you meet the 2Js. And we finally did. We had some conversations on the phone. And I thought they were great, but you could tell you guys are professionals, but you're also driven, right? You're driven, and you realize, you took the model, you took it to the level, you realize what you could do with it, and you're proving that point out. And so the point you just made was systems and process. There's kind of like the we way, right? Which is, having that platform, the ability to take it to the next level. And then there's the stuff that you guys do to really, supercharge that, really make it work and work well. And so as an introduction to that, and then we'll talk about this more in a second, was the fact that, you guys have already done a beta program where we're developing out an entire coaching program around that for existing agency owners who are not quite the level they want to be, or new owners as they come into the system across. Right now we're in 7 states, but as we grow, we have this program that we're working on with you guys, and we don't want to roll it out completely now, but we want to mention it to people that it's basically 6 months of working with you. There's a very intense beginning period where they work with you for the first week or so, like right in day-to-day activities, and then we break it up to weekly calls, ongoing discussions, and availability. Is that something you guys have enjoyed doing, or is that something you're looking to do more of?
Chris, it's something that Jay and I love. We love sharing our success. We love assisting or helping other people get to another level. It's a passion of mine. I can't speak for Jay Wolfberg, but I believe he feels the same way. There's nothing better than seeing somebody at their initial stage and watching them grow and reaching levels that maybe they didn't think that they were going to get to on their own. It's something that I take a lot of pride in.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think we like to always say that, what we're doing here isn't rocket science. This is absolutely a teachable skill set. And it's something that I think and I would agree that we're both very passionate about. We see a lot of opportunity. And the flip side of that is we see some different scenarios out there where some of these people and offices have all the tools and resources they need to be successful. They just haven't been able to implement it properly with the process and the systems. And we think that's definitely something, at least myself, we're super excited to help and see what we can do and see what we can show people.
So the thing that comes to my mind is, not only the systems and the process, and you mentioned before, we can plug somebody in and they can jump into our system because it's already there. But, I started thinking to myself, efficiencies, right? You can do a lot of things. And I always tell people, this is kind of a training program I've done over the years on the sales side, is you can become effective at anything. You throw enough time, money, and people at it, you can deliver a result. It may be bloated, but you can do it. The second step is efficiencies. And so I think that's what I see when I talk to you guys. And that's what I hear is, developing those efficiencies allow you to move, instead of being in the back of the line, spending 3-4 years figuring out what you're doing, you can jump to the front of the line and say, hey, can you just tell me what I'm supposed to be doing? So when I liken it to, hey, if I can talk to Warren Buffett, and if I could sit down with Warren Buffett and he said, just do these things, that would save me a lot of time. That would be one of those things where I'm like, I'm going to listen to the guy who's already got the proven results. And that's why, with you, and I think we're going to add, 1 or 2 other owners within the system to round it out depending on what your questions are. So in your case, obviously running the agency, hitting those highest tiers and doing, quoting and rating, really understanding how to be the best possible insurance agent, and then also most efficient agency at the same time. Is that correct? Am I hitting those points?
Yeah, I tend to agree. I don't think there is a secret sauce. That's one of the biggest questions to Jay and myself is what's the secret sauce? What are you guys doing differently? At the end of the day, we're using the tools that We Insure provided us, and we're just doing the right thing. We're doing the right thing by people. We're returning the phone calls in a timely manner. We're not using paper. We're a paperless office, so we're extremely efficient, and we follow the processes along the way, and we don't deviate from that. So Chris, when Jay said before that somebody could just come in, and kind of replicate what we're doing, that's because we make the system fairly easy. We're using what We Insure provides us, and then we create these systems in place where it's plug and play for the next person to do as we were doing ourselves.
Yeah, and the efficiencies are huge. I mean, that goes a long way where, we talk to a lot of people, and the most recent office we were assisting, it's, the conversation is, well, what did you do today? And if it takes you all day to quote two customers and write one, where, in our office, I have staff out there that's already written 3 or 4 policies, and it's 10:30 in the morning right now, and they're going to quote, we'll have another 15 quotes done before lunch. So a lot of that is efficiencies, and the skill set we bring to save that time and to focus on what's important, and not be spinning your wheels all over the place. And before you know it, the whole day got away from you and you didn't really accomplish much. So yeah, I would agree with what you said, Chris, that the efficiency part is a huge end of it.
Well, you see this all the time, right? In other areas where people come back and they say it's real simple to lose weight, right? You just eat less and work out. Oh, well, that should take care of it. Let me just get on that, and then no one has a result, right? It's still everybody has the same access to the same information on the internet, but they want to see a model that works. Someone needs to tell you this is what you need to do. Hey, there's my program that works, and that's what I think you guys have developed is that fine-tuned, efficient, process. Allow someone to come in and say, oh, that's what you did on Monday. Oh, that's how you did this during the week. That's how you're talking to these particular clients. I think that's where the benefit really comes to people. And again, that's what I call it. Move to the front of the line, get the information. It's a cheat sheet. Go ahead and do it. So I'll switch off that for 1 second and ask you one other question I think is very relevant to people out there. So you guys have a lot of clients, and I have to imagine you talked a little bit about the high retention rate because you have so many different carriers, and you guys, not only use the retention team from We Insure, but you also are very good at what you do on the front end. So you're putting on the right products. How do your clients, how do you see clients, react? You deal with a lot of people on a daily basis. Insurance is a crazy business, especially where you guys are. It changes. Sometimes carriers change, and you have to react very quickly. They must really appreciate your approach to it because you're giving them what they actually need, not just what you have. So tell me a little bit about kind of client interactions. When you reach out to them, you have conversations. You guys are, some of the best at rating. So tell us a little bit about your client interactions as well.
So Chris, I think initially when you have the client attention, when you have their attention on the phone, the idea is to really create as much rapport within those few minutes that you might have with them and find some sort of common place where they believe in you, and always leave the call with, that you're approachable, that you're always going to be approachable. What that helps is future retention. If you have that rapport with the insured or the homeowner, and they know your cell phone number, they know that you're always reachable, I find it very rare that they're ever going to want to go any place else. It's not just the lowest price per se for a homeowner's policy. It's the relationship. So we really, really try to create a wonderful relationship as best as we can within the few minutes that you're speaking to the individual, to help for your retention in the future.
Yeah, and I think we do a very good job up front of doing two things: of getting them vested in the process, so of getting them to commit to getting us the information, helping us get them the best rate with the best company. And the other thing we do is we do our best to explain to them, like, you don't ever need to call another insurance agency. We have access to everybody and everything. And we find that a lot of people, if they do have an issue, whether it's a year later or 5 years later, they remember that and they call us back and say, hey, my rate tripled, or, I'm getting non-renewed, or whatever the issue is. And we're able to assist that. So I like to think that we do a really good job explaining up front, that we don't just represent one company. We don't have any allegiance to one company. Our customer is our customer, and that's who we are solely focused on helping out with whatever their need is: higher coverage, better premiums, different policy types, whatever the case may be.
I just want to add one thing, Chris, if you don't mind.
Sure.
What the one thing, or the misconception, I think, when I first got into this industry, was you almost feel like if you underwrite your policy initially from the onset, you won't have to touch it again. And what we found is, no matter what we do, no matter how well we underwrite an insurance policy, there's always going to be something that pops up, right? Almost on every single policy we've ever written. So think about an individual or a particular office that's writing 150 to 200 policies every single month. How many things pop up? So the one thing that I could tell you is, if it wasn't for Jacksonville, the We Insure Service Center that we utilize as a pass-through, in other words, the way that Jay and I work this, and to each office's discretion, but the way that we use it is we're delivering the good news to the insured. We're allowing the service center to do the service.
Right.
We pass on the information to the insured. Where I'm going with this, Chris, is every touch that you have with the insured, it just instills in them even more that you said everything that you were going to do, you did do. And I think that really the confidence level increases a great deal, and they don't want to go anywhere else, or at least I hope to think they don't want to go anywhere else, because we deliver what we're supposed to be doing, or assisting them in every manner possible. But again, we allow the service center to do what they're supposed to do, and then we pass on to the insured the results.
And I can tell you two things from my perspective. Obviously, I've sent you guys, someone in your area down there as a referral, and I think you talked to Jay Wolfberg, and Jay, you said, listen, the homeowners is, the legacy product that you're not. If we mess with that, we shouldn't mess with you. Past and said you're in the best thing possible. So it's not just you're out there just to get that policy. You're out there to be a consultant, a really trusted advisor for a lot of folks. And on the other hand, looked at the auto side and said, listen, I can save you 30% with a better carrier just tomorrow. We're not talking about some random carriers, right? We're talking about the biggest in the industry. We have everybody out there. So it's not like you're going to some unknown name brands. You're going out there with the largest carriers in the nation and still being able to get them better rates, better everything, because you have the ability to shop them between a couple. You don't just represent one. That's one thing. So I've had the personal experience with you guys, so it was great. And then secondarily, I feel like a lot of people, as we grow nationwide and we're going into other states, it's almost like it's a secret. Like, this is so unique. This is such a hybrid of what really goes on. People don't understand insurance real well. So they said, I'm kind of out there on my own, and I've got to call 50 places to shop if I really want to check it. And I don't even know the name of all the different, people to call. So I just land on one. I'm stuck with it. In your case, not only do you get that expert opinion, but you get them with the right carrier. And that's what I was getting to on the client side is, the experience is wildly different, and it's someone you can go to. Like you just said, hey, my cell phone's on, I have access to us. They're confident they can reach us. Questions come up all the time. I get something in the mail, and this changed or that changed.
That's right.
Or, hey, I just decided to go ahead and put shutters on my house. And now all of a sudden, does that change? Does that change my policy price? Because it probably will. But who am I going to call to find that out if I have just some random 800 number when I can call someone locally who has access to all of those carriers and knows the business as well as you do and has the access to give you the right product, not just what they are selling that particular day? It's a wildly different experience for the consumer, and for folks, in other states are saying, well, I've been stuck with, one brand forever. I don't even know what I could do if I had 50 different carriers. So, that's my favorite part about We is the experiences and the customer responses that you get when you have those discussions. So that wasn't a question. That was more of a statement. Well, I know you guys have been on here, and I know Jay Lerner, I know you were on vacation. So again, appreciate you both joining us this morning. Any last minute, any words of advice for anybody out there? Or I know we're going to kick off the full blown coaching program, but in the meantime, you are taking other, we will take other clients. If you called me and you said, hey, Chris, I'm interested in jumping into that program, I will arrange everything for you and we'll get it set up. But any last minute advice for people out there? Any thoughts of people looking at We Insure as an option from either a franchise perspective or as a consumer?
Yeah, I would say two things. If you're looking at this as a franchise option, as something, maybe you have a complementary business and you're looking to add this in, or maybe you're just looking to, chase down what I always say is the American dream, which is essentially, passive residual income, which is what this business, legitimately gives you. So if that's something you're looking for, absolutely you're starting in the right place. You should be reaching out to Chris. And as far as the existing offices out there, new offices coming in, if you're interested in hearing more and learning more about this exciting coaching opportunity, we'd love to chat more about it. It's something we're definitely passionate about and really, results driven and excited to see where we can go from there. So much appreciated.
Well, there you go. Jay Lerner, I know you're on vacation. Any last minute advice, or, obviously you've had a great run, really enjoyed working here and you're taking advantage of every aspect of it, built off that foundation. Anything else before you head to the beach?
You know what, Chris? We both love what we do. We have a lot of passion for what we do, and there's no better fit for us than We Insure. Proof is in the pudding, right? So they say. And, there's nobody out there, in my opinion, that can't do or replicate what we did. And we would love to show them, or at least be able to show them.
Fantastic. Well, guys, Jay Lerner, get back to that vacation. Again, I sincerely appreciate you joining us, on that time frame. And Jay Wolfberg, I know you've probably gotten 7 or 15 leads since we've been on this call. So I'm going to let you get back to it. So thank you both for joining us. And I appreciate, everything you do.
Thanks,
Awesome.
Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
Have a good one.
Too.